Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, it's Pete, coming to you with another edition of Pete Plays Tyranny. And when we last left off, we were talking to the the heads of Nayrat, the voices of Nayrat, and the general big brute man. It's been about 4 days, so. I'm forgetting some names and some faces, but we're still in the disfavored camp, and we have a couple more conversations we have to go ahead and have. For some reason, WASDA's not working currently. So I think we can talk to this guy. Fate Binder Basic, am I right? I am Sevius, Commander, and third generation disfavored. Specifically, I'm Sevius the Younger. Some folks can't keep track. The rank says Commander, but lately, I'm just organizing patrols and trying to stay out of the way. You should talk to Iron Marshal if you've something official that needs discussing. Okay. What is it you need? I overheard you asking that Earthshaker where their reinforcements have gone. Is there a problem? Why do you think the siege has delayed for so long? Okay, I think I can ask all these. I'm afraid so, Radix. The head of the Earthshakers was supposed to arrive with a group of his most competent spell slingers to help break their stalemate. I don't know what's holding up their arrival, and that worries me. If you were at all inclined to lend a hand, we could use some arcane support on our side. So I'm bad at being a soldier, and I'm not a guild apprentice, so let's say I could lend a hand. Could you? I knew that Tunan's agent wouldn't fail us in a time of need. I'll mark the last known site of our Earthshaker reinforcements on your map. Good hunting, Fatebinder. Okay, let's ask some other questions. Why do you think the siege has been delayed for so long? And because I favor one, it should have been over real quick and simple. The first cohort arrived in the valley and went right for the kill. But that was before we knew the Vendrian Guard had sages and that Water Witch on their side. A bigger problem is the Scarlet Chorus. They eagerly conscript the Vendrian Guard, but I have no proof of this. But it seems they do very little to keep a watchful eye on these drafted tiersmen. They are often sent out on patrol, and we suspect they use that opportunity to escape back to the Vendrian Guard. Verse says, every chorus conscript has a choice. Life under Kairos or death under the army's boots. By all means, feel free to cut down those who choose the latter. We won't be offended. Just so we don't mistake each other, I know what I'm saying carries an implication of treachery. I'm not making a formal accusation before Tunan's agent. I'm just voicing my gut opinion on the matter. Okay. The two armies haven't worked well together in years. Why do you think that is? Come on, Binder. Seems like asking why beasts stink. The disfavored are only too eager to deliver Kairos' peace to the tiers, while the Scarlet Chorus bring only mayhem in their wake. You can tell me the voices of Nayrat has a plan, and I'll take your word for it. But the chorus sure seems to blunder around, never moving with purpose as we do. Verse says, I wonder if we've been fighting the same war, soldier. I've seen Ash yank his precious soldiers away from more battles than he's won. If you want to call that progress, be my guest. Unless we find a way to work as one, I fear that the Scarlet Chorus will step in front of Graven Ash's strategy at every turn. As far as I'm concerned, it seems like the voices of Nayrat is here to amuse himself, while the rest of us are here to do our job. Alright, tell me about yourself. Sevius says, not much to tell. My father was Sevius the Elder. His father was Sevius the First of his name, lead drill master of Ash's first Iron Guard. Back when they were the Bronze Guard. I was born into the Legion, and with any hope, I'll die in the Legion. The rest you will hopefully hear about when the storytellers immortalize me. What is the Bronze Guard? Well, his day and age was a century ago, and they didn't have Kairos' modern luxuries like iron. So back then, the great general's inner council was known as the Bronze Guard. I've told him to be proud of his pedigree. Thanks, but I try not to think about it too fondly. If anything, every time I screw something up, I wish I wasn't dragging the family name through the mud along with me. Okay. Exhausted the dialogue choices with him. I believe we already talked to Iron Marshal. You can go check it out. Maybe not. Don't just coddle the impact. Push back with your shield. Take the momentum. Iron Marshal Arenos, the field commander of the disfavored, pounds her fist in the air as she calls out to the warriors on the training field. I set eyes on your opponent's waistline. If you spend more than a glance checking his footwork, you've lost. The disfavored officer turns to you, adjusting her pale golden surcoat as she clears her throat. Need to stay on top of the troops or their skills will rust. It's for their own good, even if they don't believe it. I could say it was mentioned you're short on warriors and need help. What's the situation? Or how are your warriors reacting to the edict? Let's ask how she's doing. I have brigades amassing along Placid, Echo Call, and Little Tooth crossings. The Vendrian Guard may be able to hold one bridge, but they cannot hold against a concerted three-prong attack. I have no right to give you orders, but... Her words falter, a short cough breaking her flow. But we all die to Kairos' edict should we fail. So I'm not about to let my pride blind me to the value of good help. I'm going to ask about why they couldn't take it the first time. She says, defeat in detail. We carved a bloody path up to the river. But at that point, everyone who charged ahead was lost. We had no course backup. It was just a few disfavored squads. I can't tell you exactly how they were defeated, but we lost the whole assault team. She shakes her head, letting out a long, pained sigh. We found bodies washing up in the river for days. It's not often the Tiersmen put up such a good fight. It certainly made us reevaluate the number we'll need to take this valley. Verse says, really? Are you sure our scouts didn't give you all sorts of details about the enemy, and you just choose to disregard our warnings? I could say I'm sure the disfavor would have heeded any such advice. We can pass out blame after the war, only the Oathbreakers matter now. Or it sounds like your lack of caution is to blame, not the Scarlet Chorus. I'm going to trust verse. Lack of caution? My legion is my family. I do not play loosely with their lives. The only blame here is on the Oathbreakers. It is their intransigence that created this conflict in the first place. There's no need to blame your teeth, at least. I can hear them grinding from over here. What is the value of taking a crossing? We can't just march from here to the Citadel with the Vendrian Guard manning the riverbanks. Fording troops and supplies through even the narrowest points of the river makes us vulnerable to attacks, especially since our armor wasn't built for swimming. She points north, toward the mountain spire looming on the horizon. If we can take the river, we have clear march to the Citadel, and Ascension Hall will be ours in no time. So we need the river to take Ascension Hall. Okay. Sure, I will assist. Then our plan might just work. The Iron Marshal lifts her gauntlet close to her face, shifting her eyes from you to the metal articulations. We are loath to work with those who do not share our training and our values, but we know that Tunon the Adjudicator selects only the most capable minds for his court. I trust you will honor us all on the field. Oops, I skipped something. Oh, that's okay, I can scroll. Antio will be leading the charge at Echo Call Crossing, assisting you with Barik of the Stone Shields. She points to a heavily armored soldier standing sentry at the edge of the training field. Before you ask, no, the Forge-bound weren't sloshed on Dapple Seed when they... Oh, Must be a made-up drink. No, the forge-bound weren't sloshed on Dappleseed when they fitted his armor. He survived the full force of the edict. Of storms in the armor doesn't exactly come off. Tactically, it's quite brilliant, but otherwise, it's something of a curse. Tapping her helmet twice, Arrhenius signals to the hulking presence. Barik, come meet the Fatebinder. Barik. The soldier that steps up to you better resembles an amalgamation of rusted blades and mismatched pieces of armor fused into a vaguely human shape. He reeks of sweat, feces, and whatever oil treatment keeps him flexible.
Fatebinder, the Iron Marshal has tasked me with keeping you alive, and I have no intention of disappointing her. That should be enough assurance for anyone.
Nod silently. Barik returns your nod, silent, save for the creaking articulations in his alloyed carapace.
Barik, is that you under there? I had no idea you were in Vendrian's well. Fatebinder, do you know this walking anchor?
That seems insulting. I'm gonna ask how they know each other.
Oh, that is to say, yes. I'm already as familiar with this ironclad halfwit as I care to be.
She regards Barik with a mixed look.
We don't have time to trade jabs today, Verse. After the siege, you can throw as many tantrums as you please. I suggest that we remain focused on the mission.
No offense to the mission, but seeing you looking like a garbage heap and reeking of a mass grave is more amusing by far. Did you forget how to don your armor, or did Graven Ash leave you out in the rain?
Barik sighs, a frustrated growl shaking his iron enclosure of a suit. I believe sure. I encountered him in the Stalwart.
You're generous to say so. I'm afraid I left the better part of myself on the killing fields of Stalwart. But it's still in my pride and honor to serve the Legion.
His voice falters. You can't tell if it's hesitation or regret that stalls it. The Fatebinder will be joining us for the push across the river. I figured an extra hand might help. And more importantly, if my worries come true, and the chorus tries to impede the mission, we will have an observer from the court on our side.
Better to work with the Honorable Binder than some chorus children.
He nods to you, his armor creaking as he bends his neck. Iron Marshal Arrhenius. God, I hate that name. I ask that Barik accompanies you there to arbitrate the cooperation between his company and the Scarlet Chorus. Echo Call Crossing is now unlocked on the map. Barik, you've been without a cohort since the last Battle of Stalwart. It's time we gave you a task more worthy than hauling wagons and leading training drills. She plants her hands on her hips and speaks in clipped official terms. Ash has assigned you to the Fatebinder's service. You are to assume this task is ongoing until we find a more permanent spot for you, which could very well mean the swiftly approaching end of this war, or when the Fatebinder dismisses you. Is that understood? Barik regards the Iron Marshal in oppressive silence. That's an order, Barik. She shakes her head and sighs, returning her focus to you. He can be as stubborn as pulling a spire out of the earth, but he's a good soldier. I hope you don't mind the company. I do mind, but I'll allow it. I'd rather travel on my own. Sure, I'd be honored. Excellent. I look forward to your success in the field. Our party of 2 is now a party of 3. We now have Barik as well. How do we use the formation? Can we do it that way? Oh yeah, okay. So if you wanted to like
Will do.
Bring it in backwards, sure. Well, I think I have some levels to get. That's the merchant we talked to. Let's open up the old character sheet. I feel like my keyboard's not working with this game. Huh. That's weird. 1 second. It's going great. There we go. Fixed. Okay. Fate Binder. Oh, attribute points. With each level, you can increase one of your character's attributes. Might, finesse, quickness, wits, vitality, or resolve. Each of these attributes provides benefits to your character as well as increases one or more skills. Increasing an attribute costs 1 point until the attribute score reaches 19. To raise an attribute from 19 to 20 requires 2 attribute points. Okay. I've already read about this. I can have some conversations with companions after this. Slow playthrough, guys. Super slow playthrough. Okay. So, we can upgrade Barik. I think he's going to mainly be our, like, big bruiser, so... Barik's got a talent point. We'll have him be able to challenge people. He's going to be a sentinel style guy. I think we'll specialize him eventually to, yeah. Defender's Watch seems good. I just want him to be like a huge bruiser. And we'll get him there. Taking the Outer Valley. Okay, well now we got some quests we can look at. Spell creation. Ooh. I'm gonna pull back up that tutorial when I get around to like needing to make spells and stuff, because I'll never remember it if I read it now. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick. Let's see. So we got the Battle of Echo Call Crossing. Taking the Outer Valley. I need to go to the Scarlet Chorus camp here soon. The Scarlet Chorus are currently attempting to secure the outer ring of Vendrian's Well. You'll need to help them deal with rebel forces in the area before Kairos' armies may safely march upon the Citadel. Okay. Earthshaker reinforcements. I'm gonna hide my completed quests. That's right. He wants me to go to Echo Call Crossing to find iron. Earthshaker reinforcements is at Northern Clearing. Okay. Yeah, this okay, so I'd go like that, and then I express it with that, right? Yeah, and that would make Charged Fist. Which I could assign to... Yeah. Sure. right? I guess I could assign it to all of them. Okay. Sure. Gives them an extra spell to cast. I'm not sure why that trigger won't go away, but we can have some conversations with our people. How did you do that? Verse looks at you with a quizzical expression. Do what? Back in the Archon's war tent, you cast an edict as casually as reading a supply shipment. How did you do that? It was nothing, really. Now is not the time to play coy. You spoke words that could lead to the deaths of hundreds. Take a moment to feel proud of yourself. I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable. It's just worth recognizing that what you've done. Not only are you Tunun's Fatebinder, you're the mouthpiece of the Overlord. Gives me plenty of reason to stick around. You're going places, and I want to see where they lead.
What do you need?
Okay. Now we're going to do our companion. We're going to learn about our companions.
Yeah, if you insist.
Tell me something.
I'm a Scarlet Fury. That should raise some flags for you. It means that I'm good at killing, and more importantly, that I enjoy it. What I won't enjoy are the pleasures of funerary rites packed with weeping mourners. Someday I'll fall in battle, and then they'll roll me into a mass grave or heap me atop a shit-stained wagon. One more anonymous, knife-riddled piece of meat. Until then, I plan to take whatever I can from life and have a little fun along the way.
Okay. She loves murder. Oh, no voice for this one. Okay. Life? What life? As far as I'm concerned, I didn't exist before the course. There was some girl in a farm wearing my face and talking with my voice, but she wasn't me. Sometimes she would sneak out at night, take a scythe, have some fun with the livestock. Our shared interests began and ended there. When the Scarlet Course swept me through my village on their long trek from the bastard city, that was when I finally woke up. I buried my old life, took red vengeance on anyone who'd wronged me, and found the freedom I could only dream was out there. What about your parents? My mother ran a successful farm. I worked it for a number of years before I found the course. She was a hard, bitter woman, acted like the world owed her something. She never talked about my father, though I figured out a thing or two about him later on. He was a merchant from the Northern Empire who took a liking to her, and she him. He stayed around only long enough to get what he wanted. But never mind him. My mother never had what you would call taste, so he couldn't have been terribly influential to me if he did stick around. So, fine with her mother, but no dad. Takes it pretty hard, it seems like. Although she doesn't really, I mean, as long as she's in the course and gets to murder, I suppose. Do you ever wish you could do things over and end up somewhere other than Kairos' army? That's as naive a question as I've ever heard. Kairos is everything. If you aren't in the Overlord's army, you're being trampled by it. Of course, I could have labored on the family farm into my maturing years. Married some dolt and littered him a nursery of squealing piglets. Having my body torn to pieces by smaller versions of me sounds like fun. Then one day, when I decided enough was enough, I slit my husband's throat over breakfast and run off to join the chorus anyway. My way saved a lot of time. Verse smooths back the feather in her hair and shakes her head with a smile. Yeah, you're a killer. Better stick with the chorus. At least you understand. The chorus praises and rewards the thing inside me that I would have suppressed in civilized company. Life is too short to repress every desire, right? Especially if I have anything to say about it. How did you get conscripted? How did I? I think you have the wrong idea about me. The chorus didn't take me as a sobbing maid. I strode into their camp and enlisted. Someone tossed me a dented blade. I lived through initiation, spent a week butchering my neighbors, and moved on with my new kin. I didn't waste time with goodbyes. My mother had long since died, and the rest of my family were louses. The girl I used to be, even she knew that she was worth more than all of them combined. What is the significance of your feathers? I got loyalty too, so I get this. We are getting awfully chummy, so I guess you deserve a story. My mother kept a messenger bird, Winterbeak. He was an angry old bastard, spoiled from living the high life. Squawked in my window every single night. Pecked my fingers while I fed him only the fattest, juiciest mice. When I left the farm to join the Scarlet Chorus, I wrung that ungrateful little fucker like a dish rag, plucked his feathers, and gave his carcass to the mice. It felt like justice. She slides a crimson feather from her hair and spins it in her fingers. I also like how the feathers catch the breeze. Helps me keep my balance, especially when I'm moving fast. She slips the feather amongst the others and smooths it back. Enough questions about your past. Tell me about your time with the Scarlet Chorus.
The Scarlet Chorus is mostly for madmen and peasants with rusty daggers, but it's also a little niche of freedom that I never had. Once I survived training and met my Scarlet Fury sisters, I saw a different side of the howling mob.
Tell me about your
For
training.
new recruits shoved to the front lines, training means surviving the first battle. Anything beyond that is for the fighters who show potential, whether as blade dancers or arcane madmen. There's nothing in the world like getting put through the paces as a Scarlet Fury. Every day is a test of your commitment and passion. Failure means death. The first few weeks were the hardest, but also the most rewarding. I earned my name, picked up some quality weapons, and met my sisters.
Tell me about the Scarlet Furies.
The elite fighters of the Scarlet
Furries.
Chorus. Your typical Horde recruit fights with a rusty spoon and a chip on his shoulder, but the Scarlet Furies are, well, different. We focus our madness. We coordinate, we kill, we dance. It's like art. Imagine a sculpture that twisted in weird, beautiful angles, and then gutted you too fast for you to realize what was happening.
That does sound wonderful.
It is, as I remind myself all the time. The most important day of my life was when the voices of Nerat recognized my potential and sent me to Scarlet Fury training.
You earned your name? I didn't know they had to earn their names. But, okay, so their training is simply like you go out and you fight to the death in a war. So how'd you get your name? If you think a simple farmer from the Tears would name her child Verse, I suggest you to visit my old village. Most of them were walking around with surnames like Barrel or Fish. Not the most creative bunch. She smirks and shakes her head. The chorus take your name away. Whoever you were before, you aren't that person anymore. Then, you earn back a name through great deeds, usually murderous ones. That's why you see choirmen walking around with names like Stink Mouse or Face First. There's probably a good reason for it. The voices of Nerat gave me this name. When the Scarlet Chorus runs howling into battle, he doesn't hear war. He hears a symphony. And when I fight with blade or bow, he told me that my music stands out louder than anyone else's, and contains too many parts to be easily defined. When you least suspect it, the Archon of Secrets can be downright charming. What's your real name? Oh no, that question isn't worthy of either of us, but I'll entertain it out of pity. You already know me by my real name. It's Verse. Are you looking for whatever arbitrary collection of letters and sounds my mother thought was appropriate when she didn't even know me? Then you're out of luck. I buried that name long ago. Long by my standards, anyway. Whoops. So, I'm 62% of the way to Tier 1 in Fear. Whoopsies. Tell me about your weapon skills. When I was just a kid, it didn't take me long to realize I was a natural. I could pick up a rusty kitchen knife and skewer a rat from across the room. The Scarlet Chorus gave me opportunities to further educate myself. My sisters were always a bit surprised by how quickly I took to different fighting styles. She frowns for a moment, and then shakes off whatever she wanted to say. Back to my questions about the Scarlet
What do you need to know?
Corpse. One sec, my cat's at the door. Hi, buddy. Come on. Sorry, I had to let Husky in mid-Let's Play. Before you hesitated when you brought up your fighting styles, why? Notice that, did you? It's a matter that I'm not used to discussing, mostly because I don't know how. I mentioned before that I'm good at picking up different weapons and fighting techniques. The truth is, I'm better than good. I could flay a man so cleanly that I'd leave a single strip of skin behind. You wouldn't even need to be tied down. That was one of the first things I discovered about myself after joining the Scarlet Chorus. The voices of Nayrat recognized it in me as well, which is why he singled me out for Scarlet Fury training. Have you tried that flaying trick before? Let's just say that when we ran out of canvas for pitching tents, the Fifth Eye handed me a knife and pointed me to the prison pens. She winks. Gross. My sisters were the masters of their fighting forms, but since they died, my style has changed. Almost like I can kill as they did. I could pick up a bow, a lance, anything really. I could tear someone to pieces with a weapon that I only watched my sisters use. I don't know what it could mean, and that worries me. Who are your sisters? Who were they, would be more appropriate. Three Whispers, Red Geyser, and Seeking Chief. Best fighters I ever met. There wasn't a foe we couldn't take down together. Our fighting styles complemented perfectly. So we divided up the killing work like bards sharing a song. At least we used to. She presents a solemn salute. Tell me about Three Whispers. She was as calm as the surface of a pond, and light on her feet. More than one foe tripped and fell on their own blade due to Whisper's crafty footwork. First lets her gaze slip away from you, as a fleeting moment of sorrow steals her attention. Tell me about Red Geyser. A one-woman siege breaker. She would launch herself at her foes like a battering ram. Not even a disfavored phalanx could have withstood that dumb, suicidal wench. Kairos' eyes, but she was something to behold. Verse slams her fist into her palm. Tell me about Seeking Seath. Seeking Seath, yes, that's the one. Seath the Scaleless. Tell me about Seeking Seath. That girl could pass a spear through 12 rings from the far side of a battle. Kairos helped any foes who approached her marching single file. She made a game of spitting as many soldiers as possible on the same javelin. What happened to him? Husky is demanding attention. We were scouting around Vendrian's well during the siege, back when we only suspected the guard of organizing in secret. My sisters and I came upon a group of them, or Kairos knows, maybe they found us. No one said anything. We drew iron and bronze. That was when everything went wrong. I was supposed to take point and occupy the guard with the dance of blade work. Something disorienting while my sisters picked their marks. I hesitated. I lost my nerve. Instead of rushing the Oathbreakers, I froze with my weapon drawn. My sisters fought on without me, but they were off balance, like whatever I had was catching. They died, I lived. My sisters were relying on me to lead the dance, and I failed them. Yeah, your actions were inexcusable. You're absolutely right. If I had witnessed the same in one of my sisters, I might have even killed her for endangering the rest of us. Good thing for me that they didn't get the chance. She chuckles, but there's no humor in it. Hesitation is a rot. It's unbecoming of any chorus member, and unheard of in a Scarlet Fury. I would cut it from my body and cauterize the wound if If I only knew its source. She grimaces once more and turns inward, contemplating. Any thoughts on the topic, or are we just here to open old wounds? Any idea why you lost your nerve in battle? I wish I had an explanation. For the first time, I lost the dance. The song of murder drew silent. Instead, there was only rigid, organized control. Barik chimed in. That sounds like the security of a phalanx to me. You should practice a more orderly form of combat if it suits you so well. Versus, even if the Scarlet Chorus fought in formation, it wouldn't be anything like your hideous shield wall. She looks at him in disgust. I had more questions about your sisters. No, I don't. Back to my...
What do you need to know?
Who are the Scarlet Chorus leaders? Well, the voice of Nayrad is the spider at the center of the web. He acts like the army belongs to him, and he only lends it to Kairos because it suits his purposes, both of which are true. The rest are all offshoots of the voices, like the Fifth Eye. Once you get down to the rank and file, the Scarlet Chorus organize around a motley bunch of gang bosses who call the shots. What do you want to know? Tell me about the voices of Nayrad. He's a madman, but that never stopped me from following his orders. Even in a legion as cutthroat as the chorus, you know better than to get on the voice's bad side. People who cross him, or just people he meets, don't tend to survive the experience. If he ever seems disorganized or lost, it's because he's channeling one of the personalities he's devoured over the years. His mannerisms shift over to someone else, someone who's probably long since dead. Better to die than become part of the voices. What makes him so powerful? He's the Archon of Secrets, and he didn't earn that title lightly. People say that he knows more than every sage in the tiers combined, and that he can think 1,000 steps ahead of other Archons. It would be putting it lightly to say he's never alone under that disapproving helmet of his. If you make secrets your business, I guess having people constantly whisper in your ear is a good thing. I usually want people to shut up, but to each their own. Tell me about the Fifth Eye. A walking nightmare, that one. I couldn't begin to guess who lives under that armor and speaks with that reedy voice, but I'll tell you what I know. When your world is built on secrets, it pays to have a few extra eyes. The voices of Nayrad has eyes in abundance, some that keep him close, and others that he sends out in the wilderness. Whoever the Fifth Eye was before he came into the Archon service, now he's just a half-mad, jabbering speech hole, a bodily function, in other words, an eye. Wait, Nayrad's eyes are people? Maybe they used to be people, whatever they were. They're eyes now. Folks like to whisper that the voices of Nayrad takes his servants and cuts out all the extra parts that they don't need. She makes a quick snipping gesture with her fingers. I once heard the voices in the Fifth Eye in a tent together. The voices kept screaming redundancies, redundancies. Every time another gout of blood would spray on the canvas wall. I can't even guess what he was cutting out. How many eyes does the Archon of Secrets have? The number keeps changing, either because it grows or because rumors don't mean shit. 3, 7, 19. Some say that all of us are eyes and we don't even know it. She shakes her head in thoughtful disapproval. It's one of those questions that drives you mad if you allow yourself to think about it for too long. Hey, you could be one of Tunan's eyes, but you never thought of that. I wonder if that's foreshadowing. Maybe Tunan is looking through me to see the world? Back to my other questions. Tell me about the gang bosses. A boss is anyone who can rally enough support to kill the previous boss. They cling to command until someone gets wise and stabs them in the back. Tipcap leads the Filthy Lambs. Lox leads the Rusted Harps. Sharp used to lead the Bone Boys. Couldn't say where he ended up after they broke his legs. Waterwheel orders around the Hairy Hunters. Halls for Shit leads the Lazy Malkins. Then Scurvy Queen, Fingerfood, and Wild Gash collectively lead the Ladies of Perpetual Strangulation. Some pretty names. I'm forgetting at least a dozen more. I've even led a gang or two in my day. They never survived very long, so no point in getting attached. You led a gang? Don't act so surprised. I can crack a whip better than any of those daisies at the disfavored labor camps. But I was never that interested in the power struggle of those grunts and scabs in the middle. I wanted to stand on the top like an apex predator. Here I am. So when I got tired of a gang, I disbanded and let my other bosses fight over the new recruits. That much amused me, at least. Some of my old mates are still alive and hanging around wherever they ended up. Back to my questions. Let me ask you about something else.
What do you need to know?
What are your thoughts on the disfavored? Warren of self-entitled children so wound up in delusions of honor, they're likely to hang themselves by their own high standards. I wish they had stayed in the Northern Empire where they belong. Then we could get some real work done in the tiers. What do you think of their leader? I've seen enough of that high-minded braggart to know that he's all duty. Nothing but a charismatic, broad-shouldered scarecrow. He calls himself the Archon of War, though by the way he stalls his forces, waiting for a better strategy to present itself, you would think he's afraid of battle. Barik says, "Watch your words, I would not hear of you talking of the Archon this way." A growl ripples through Barik's armor, accompanied by sounds of bending metal. Was I even talking to you, Junkyard? And no, I will not. You would think that someone more deserving would take Ash's mantle from him, but the disfavored have this cult of personality built around their great general. In their eyes, he can do no wrong. What about Ash's connection to his troops? Graven Ash protects. His soldiers keep harping on those words like they mean something. I don't deny that the disfavored can take a few extra lumps on the battlefield, but that only speaks for their thick-headedness. If anything, it's only true because his soldiers place that much trust in him. I've seen power of suggestion do stranger things to people. Stranger than heal battlefield wounds? I don't think so. Suit yourself. I'm just putting it out there. And I don't see you coming up with any great explanation for a soldier who bounces back from a killing wound. Who would you see take Ash's place? I would rather let the disfavored sort it out amongst themselves. Graven Ash is this aging figurehead of what should be a constantly changing role. The right soldier needs to grow a pair and kill the old man, kick his cane out from under him, remind the Legion what strength looks like. The voices of Nayrat changes. He's a multifaceted gem, and the Scarlet Chorus is a reflection of that beauty. If someone could rise up and strike down the voices, any of us would follow them in a heartbeat. I suppose you have a better idea how to handle the disfavored forces. Of course I do. First, I'd stop babying the troops. Pain is a lesson best learned early. I'd conscript from the locals to bolster the front lines, because why waste your elite on the vanguard? Then I'd leave any misplaced ethics back in the Northern Empire. They're not helping Kairos' campaign anyways, so fuck them. You take away everything that makes them strong? Excellent. You would make them more like the Scarlet Chorus. Yeah. Would that be so wrong? This chorus is accountable for itself in ways that the disfavored aren't. Our weak die, and the strongest fight to keep their rank. The disfavored promote their waning bloodline and discipline any soldier with the audacity to show their teeth. Though they'd never admit it, the disfavored need the chorus to show them the way. Back to my questions about the disfavored. Do you think the disfavored... What did I say? Do you think the disfavored have a chance to succeed in the tiers? Speaking as one of the exceptions, most of the tiersmen are pushovers. The people of Stalwart seem capable enough, though I have my doubts. You might call them the disfavored's best challenge. Even if they succeed, it might be too late to redeem themselves. The chorus have already impacted the conquest more than the disfavored have, or likely ever will. Barik says, and how many thousands of choirmen did your victories cost you along the way? Barik clears his throat, the grating sound echoing in his helmet. As many as it took, Junk Heap. What are your thoughts on their battle strategies? They've really got something with that phalanx maneuver, a formation built on holding still, moving forward slowly, and hoping that no one slips in the mud. At best, the disfavored are tired of using the same tactic over and over again. At worst, the enemy knows what to expect out of them. Scarlet Furies are dancers. We hear the music of battle and organize ourselves into works of killing art. Every fight is as hot and passionate as the last, with no room for stale routine. Barik says, you speak of routine and discipline as if they were weaknesses. The shield wall keeps soldiers alive. Chorus recruits fly to their deaths like moths to a candle flame. Verse says, to burn out while covered in the blood of your enemies is more honorable than the slow march to a dignified retirement. Would you rather feel the bite of a spear while hewing an axe through your enemy's skull, or the clench of your heart's betrayal while you sit up in bed, aged and alone? Barik says, in the shadowy depths of his armor, Barik makes no sound. He doesn't even appear to be breathing. Let me ask you something else. How is it that you picked up your fallen sister's weapon skills? That's been on my mind for some time. I still don't have an explanation that fits. I have a few ideas, but Verse frowns in deep thought. Scarlet Furies share a sort of link. It's how we coordinate our dance in the heat of battle. We don't pass messages or anything, but our emotions and intentions sync up without words. She starts worrying one of her knives. After a moment, she sighs and slaps the blade back into its sheath. Go on. The one thing I always knew was that I felt this connection more keenly than my sisters did. I could pick up on nuances they missed, and I could feel them from farther away. When my sisters died, I felt each of them getting yanked out of my brain, like someone pulling nails from a garden. But some of their slime residue was still there. Does that make any sense? You should exploit this skill to its greatest potential. Skill? Not sure I'd call it that. There's something parasitic about it. But I take your point. If there's an advantage to this thing I'm experiencing, I'm not above using it against our foes. No matter how you paint it, some part of my sisters broke off in me when they died, and now I'm left to deal with it. Just another day in the tears, right? I have thoughts about your combat abilities.
I'll be intrigued. You already know that I memorized the moves of my Scarlet Fury sisters. If it seems like a total mystery to me, I don't know how you could have arrived at any conclusions, but I'm open to ideas.
I like this.
If you want to split hairs over it, you could argue that I took their instincts, their reactions, but I failed to see... Wait. Are you trying to compare me to the voices of Nerat?
Verse glares.
The voices of Nerat is a monster. We both know that Tyranny has never seen a creature more despicable than him. Never mind that he's kind of my boss.
I'm not comparing you to the voices, only this talent.
My little talent that latches onto my friends and bleeds them dry, you mean? Because I never asked for it. I've traveled with the chorus for years. I've seen what the voices can do, and it scares me, all right? The idea that everything I am could be reduced to that. If I had that kind of power, if I could become like him, I don't know how I could live with myself. I'd rather drown myself in a camp latrine.
You don't have to be like him. Just be
I'm
selective.
sure he had the same idea when he got started. But you know what they say about power? It's usually wielded by assholes. My sisters died. You should have seen us. We were amazing together. I didn't mean to take away what made them special, but I did it all the same. And let me tell you, it felt terrible. If I lived a century, I might never figure out how to make that happen again. And more importantly, I don't want to.
So this is kind of her greatest, maybe the hills she has to overcome through the story, is that she like literally is a parasite who steals the brains of her friends. What do you think of those who defy Kairos' authority? The Tearsmen can either fight or submit to Kairos' peace, and only one of those options captures my interest. I suppose I appreciate when they go down fighting. If they did otherwise, I would need to find another excuse to flay them. They need to understand whether we unify the tiers under a shared banner at the bottom of a mass grave makes little difference to you, me, or Kairos. Did you fight any notable battles? I spent some time in Azura toward the end of the war. Beastmen ripped my unit apart. We thought they might be working under Karen's orders, but we never found out for sure. It's an interesting view of combat. It's a pragmatic one, anyway. The Scarlet Chorus caught on to the idea at the beginning of the campaign. If no one objects that we're here to carve a bloody path for gain and amusement, by all accounts, that is our purpose. Besides, unification is such a vague concept that Kairos allows the disfavored and the chorus to interpret it as they will. The Overlord is concerned with results. I'm happy to focus on the details, especially if that means cutting off a farmer's legs while his family watches their land burn. She smiles at a pleasing memory. No shame in taking pleasure in your work. No, there isn't, Fatebinder. I suspect that we're going to make something great together. A line of body stretching as far as the old walls. It's going to be beautiful. She looks at you with renewed interest. Let's change the subject. You learned a thing or two about fighting in the Scarlet Chorus. Care to duel?
That would be an understatement, and I thought you'd never ask. Since you're obviously at a huge disadvantage, I'll let you pick our weapon of choice.
Let's try dual wielding some knives. Verse slashes and parries with unrestrained ferocity. At times it becomes difficult to follow her movements. After taking more than a few cuts, you learn to relax your eyes and better follow the subtle motion of her dance.
You held your own. Call me impressed. Need anything else, or did I tire you out?
You wore me out, Verse.
What did you have in mind?
We're talking about our travels now. What do you think of our present circumstances? Well, there's an edict hanging over our heads. As far as I'm concerned, the incompetence of the disfavored got us into this mess. And it will take the fury of the Scarlet Chorus to get us out of it. In other words, nothing ever changes. What do you think of our travel companions? Anyone in particular? What do you think of Barik? Well, I'll give him some due credit. He's more complicated than he looks. He's still an intolerant and unapologetic bastard, but that's more his business than mine. Back to my previous questions.
Go ahead, Fatebinder.
We will talk again later. Okay, so we're about an hour. That was a conversation with Verse. We went through all her dialogue and learned a lot. We learned about her ability to steal fighting styles from her friends, her sister's death, her origin story of coming from a farm, joining the chorus, going back, killing everybody for fun. Yeah, we kind of know more about Verse and why she's kind of a tortured character in this story. Okay, next time, when we come back, I'm going to be doing a conversation with Barik, and then we'll see where it goes from there. I'll probably upload the Barik conversation as a separate one.
At your service, Fate. What do you need?
Yeah, we're done with all this. Okay. Yeah, I'll upload the whole conversation with Barik, and then separate video for whatever comes after that. Probably be going questing and such at that point. So, thanks so much, guys, for watching. If you want more content, you can always download our podcast, Mandate Radio, and you can check out my reviews at Basic Reviews, which is its own separate YouTube channel. So thanks for following along if you're here so far, and I will see you next time on another edition of Pete Plays Tyranny. Bye.